Okay, hopefully you've managed to get to the same point that I'm at, right? We have our dice, we have kind of the forward and side rotation going, we know where we're landing. Now we just need to clean up a bit of how that dice is going to tumble, and this is where just some um, just kind of observation and just your instincts on physics and how things would move would come in handy here. So let me just play and get us to where we first. Okay, I'm going to blow this view up here. So this is where, you're going to be doing some careful scrubbing here with the dice. So try to find where that dice is first going to hit, okay? And here's where we're going to, on our translate Y, right? This is our up and down, okay? On our translate Y, right? We see that that last keyframe was already there, but because we kind of continue this along, we see that the dice kind of goes through and the rotations keep going, right? Because we set those rotations to keep going until 440, giving us some things to work with this dice bouncing and still moving forward. So this keyframe here, the nice thing about the graph editor is you can actually move keyframes. You can affect the positioning of the object here by moving keyframes here. So let me select this keyframe here, and I'm just gonna click and hold, and I'm gonna just drag this up, right? Just to get that dice to rest right on that surface. Now, you have to be careful because you can move these keyframes kind of left and right and all over, right? And we want to make sure that we're not doing that because that will affect your timing. So as you're moving, let me just Command Z. As you're moving this keyframe, if you only want to make sure you're moving in an up and down direction, if you hold Shift and click, this will limit you to just that up and down direction. Now you didn't see it here because we're looking at a view that didn't show me any of that lateral movement. So selecting the keyframe here, again, I'm going to just move it so it's right on top of that plane. And then here's where you can scrub through and see how believable this looks. Okay. Okay. So here is where it touches, right? And we have a keyframe here. But you can see this curve is still going down, which is below, right? This table that we're on. So just for now, I'm just going to take this keyframe here and I'm just going to move it up. Doesn't matter where right now because like I said, we're going to be fine tuning this as we go. So all I know is that this is going to hit and then it needs to bounce. Okay. And that's what it's showing, right? But what we also need to make sure is we're still getting a left to right movement. So I'm going to come to translate X right here. And it'll take some time to see, right, what these graphs are telling you. But yeah, this is telling you left to right information. Okay. And what we should do actually is we should make these linear. So I'm going to just select these two, right? This keyframe, this one, and I'm going to just come to here, select that, making it straight, making that left to right movement just consistent. Okay. And then we hit here and then it just stops. It doesn't continue moving. So we need to fix that. So again, this left to right, you have to be careful. This is showing you right here, since you're on the x-axis, this is showing you left to right movement. When you see a flat line like this means there's no movement. So we want to select this keyframe and we want to move this up just to continue in this diagonal. And I'm going to select these and I'm going to make this linear as well. Okay, so we're bouncing and then it continues, right? It's going way off screen like that because my translate Y I put way up high like that, but let me kind of move this down, come back to translate X. Okay, so again, we're coming. Okay, so we'll add more movement on here, but we're kind of going through bounce by bounce just to make this believable, right? So we come back here, here we bounce, and then remember this bounce, the way this is going to happen or be more believable is we want to take this Oops, careful you don't move. I'm gonna right or middle mouse button. Okay. And depending on how your object is rotating, right? This is kind of giving me, right? It looks like there'd be a little bounce here, a little touch here, and then now we're gonna kind of launch off a little bit here. So let me select this. And I'm gonna go to, okay. Okay. So we see we hit, and then you have to kind of use your judgment on how far this bounce is going to go. I'm going to say right here. Okay, so this continues. Okay, I'll say right here. Right here. So I can set a keyframe in this graph editor. So I'm just going to hit S. Okay, so on 344, I set a keyframe, and now I'm going to drag this down. Okay, and again, you have to kind of, here's where you have to kind of use your understanding of how physics and objects might work. Okay. Boom, right here we touch. So let's see, I'm gonna move this keyframe onto this and see if I can make this look right. So notice I'm moving it up in the graph editor, and it's moving it up in the viewport as well. Okay, so touching right there. Okay, scrub through. How does this look? In fact, we'll just play it. See how this looks. Okay, so that first pop, that first bounce doesn't look as believable. It's a little bit, boom. It pops up a little bit too fast. So let's try to move this here. Give it a little bit more time. So remember, so going right to left here, or left to right, this is time, right? So I'm going to move this a little bit more and lower it a little bit. I'll move this a little bit more. Okay, let's play this and see how this looks. Okay, so not bad. Pop, and then we can go through frame at a time here. Okay, so keep going. So the inertia of this dice and the way that gravity is affecting it, it's definitely going to do another bounce. So here we hit, keyframe is already there. We can probably move that up just a teeny bit. Okay. And okay, we're still moving forward. Okay. But I think that there would still be more of a rotation happening. So let me come back to translate X. Let me see here. So, okay. Okay, so here it dips below a little bit. I'm going to come up to here. Move that up to fix that. Okay. Seems nitpicky, but it's the details that matter. Okay, so we have one bounce. Okay, I think we can get another one in there. So what I'm going to do is I need to continue those rotations. Okay, so here's where the rotations stop. Okay, here's where they stop, but I want to continue them. So let's see. Let me rotate Z. Okay, at 480, I'm just guessing. I'm going to say at 480. Okay, let's do another, maybe another full rotation. Let's 1080 plus 360. 1440. Negative 40. Okay, and then hit S to set my keyframe. Okay, maybe too much. But good thing is I can adjust on here as well. Let's move this up. Bounce. Okay, so we'll end right here. And again, if you want to make these linear, right, you can select those, make that linear. Okay, bounce. Okay, here's where we need to fix this bounce. Translate Y. It's kind of, it's interesting to do these tutorials kind of at the same, like doing them and trying to talk and give instructions. A little bit difficult, but hopefully you're able to follow along with what I'm doing here. You'll have to, yeah, I'm sure you'll have to pause it and, you know, make sure you're using the graph editor the same way I am. Okay. And then maybe we have it end. Okay, I'll come back to translate X. Okay, bounce. Okay, so this is flat right here. So this is telling me there's not a lot of left to right movement. So we kind of stop here, but I still want there to be some, right? I still want this to move. Oh no, we said we wanted another bounce. That's right. So, okay, so here, and then let's. So when you start studying animation, you'll start to see these patterns in bouncing, right? So when there's a bounce, right, the top, the peak here, and then the bottom here, the next bounce will be halfway, the next bounce will be halfway until you flatline, right? So let's set a keyframe here. Okay. Okay. So this little jump from left to right is where I'm going to actually move this so we're consistent. Okay, too much, too much. A little bit more. Okay, so we need to make another keyframe where we want this ball to be when it hits the ground. So I'm going to hit S here, and then in the graph editor, I'm going to move this down, right? Down till it hits the table there. Okay, so when this right here, I need this to just hit the ground. So we need to, I'm going to do another keyframe with a little bit more movement and a little bit more rotation. So I want this to be flat. Let me move this down. And then I'm going to hit S here to set that. Okay. Okay. Here I'm going to move. Oh, sorry. I'm on X. I need to be on Y. Let's see. So if you see where it dips below here and the next keyframe is good, what we need to do is we're just going to put a keyframe in here. I'll just set one here, and then I'm going to raise this up. Let's see how this looks in our perspective view. Okay, not bad. So the arc, right? This is a bit slow. So I mean, we can, if we want to change the timing on this, right? We gave ourselves a lot of time. So what we can do is we can shift this whole thing. So I can click and drag, right? All of this, and we can click. Ooh, that's interesting. Ah, okay. Sorry about that. I had to actually look up how to do that because I thought I knew and it was not what I remembered. But the way that you can move and shift all your keyframes over is down here in the timeline, right? If you hold down Shift and you click and you drag across the keyframes you want to move, you see these two sets of arrows, some on the outside and then these two on the inside. If you just click on the inside one here to the left or the right with the middle mouse button, click and drag there, and then now you can see you can drag your keyframes over, right? And let go from there, and then play your animation. You can see a bit faster now, right? Shortening that time. And that bounce looks okay, not too bad. But let's see if you guys can refine this up, right? So let's get a nice bouncing die. And I'd like you to go ahead and use the Arnold shaders as well and assign a material to your dice, kind of like what we did with the pool ball, right? Set up a nice light, set up a, whether you have like a hard plastic dice and maybe a table, but go ahead and do an animation. I would say, keep it, 5, 6 seconds or so, nothing too long, but let's get a tumbling dice, right? So a tumbling dice, 2 or 3 bounces, right? Let's see how we do with that. And you know how to submit the play blast now. Um, just a quick note, if you are getting any strange playback speeds, if it's not quite right, I think I mentioned this in the video before, but when it comes to playback speed, you want to make sure you're not on play every frame. Whatever frame rate you're on, which would be 60 for our purposes, just make sure you're on FPS times 1. Make sure you're on that, and that will make sure you're getting a proper playback speed. Okay? Looking forward to seeing these.